Well, welcome in once again to another Johnny Torch Live broadcast. Broadcast number 270. How long have we been doing this show now? It's been quite a while. 270 broadcasts. A long awaited return. I was going to do a show last weekend. Unfortunately, just ran out of time. Had too much to do on Saturday, which is usually my day of preference for doing a show. And of course, Sunday was the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 60. Didn't quite go over the way we in Beantown wanted it. Not the best game for the Patriots, but we will be back. I am very confident we'll be back, and we've had a great season. I mean, honestly, that was a banger of a season this year. The coach, the quarterback, the team just all pulled together. You know, everybody figured it was going to be another 4-13 season, but the first year of a rebuilding for a team, everybody expects it to be not so good. And the season started not so good. We had like 2 losses in a row, both at home. And people were a little concerned. But Coach Vrabel turned it around. Drake May started to come into his own. Some lingering injuries at the end of the postseason kind of hampered him during the Super Bowl. But we'll be back. And a lot of us here in New England are really happy for the Patriots coming this far. I mean, there was no guarantee that there would be another appearance in the Super Bowl anytime soon. I mean, creating a dynasty is harder than you think. But to see that we got there again so swiftly, and it was only, 5-6 years since our last winning season. So we're going to do all right. We're going to be all right. For those of you not interested in football, thank you for bearing with me for a couple of minutes there. So we are back. We got Torch News Roundup number 299. Wow. The Torch News Roundup predates the live shows. I used to just do like a 10-minute show talking about the stuff that was going on in the pop culture world that interested me. And then eventually I figured, why not expand, broaden the horizons, as it were, and try to do it as a live stream. And we could have a little more fun that way. People can join in, which they seldom do, but once in a while. And we got a good show for you tonight. We really have a lot of topics here that have been begging to be discussed that we really haven't had a chance to discuss. Predominantly about Star Wars tonight. We're going to devote much of the show to Star Wars, but we've got that Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer that really intrigued me. But we'll get to all that in a second. Of course, first, make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe to all those wonderful things that will help the channel. I want to thank everybody for, like I said, the numbers are up. We're getting a few more subscribers. We got a lot more views now that StreamYard is doing automatic shorts. You get like a selection of shorts you can choose to, put up on Twitter, on YouTube, and it really helps, get the show out there, because people don't have the attention span usually for an hour and a half show. The shorts really took off in a big way. A couple of them were like 1,000 views. I mean, I haven't gotten 1,000 views on something since the videos that I've gotten done way back in like the first year of my YouTube career. So it's good to see that the shorts are taking off, bringing more people to the show. I'm very happy about that. And then, of course, you can also choose some more segments yourself if they don't generate the right shorts for, what you want the show to represent. You can ask them to make other shorts that will. And it's a real fun thing. And like I said, it's a great way to try to get more people interested in the broadcast and in the channel itself. Another nice thing that they have here that makes it a lot easier for you is I've got the QR code up there on the top of the screen. If you're interested, I'll tell you right now what that is. You can go to my website either by, clicking that with your phone or clicking the link in the description below. You could find my website, which is largely devoted to my comic. Let's get it up here on the screen. The Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye. Now, the most recent the most recent issue that I'm working on is this one. It is a long and laborious process trying to get this issue out. For some reason, a cruel fate has conspired against me, where I have tried 3 different styluses to get this book under production, and they have not come up to my satisfaction. I can't draw with a crooked pen that's not going to draw a straight line. And this has been going on for like 2 months, and I don't know. I got a new pen, and then something went wrong there. The pen was working, now it's not, and I'm going to have to sadly put the book on hiatus again until I can either repair this pen or get another one. And unfortunately, either scenario is going to take a couple of weeks probably. But if you click the link in the description below or use the QR code, you will be taken to my website. You can find out all you need to know about the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye, the exciting slam bang action adventure series about a down-on-his-luck private eye who takes on the most colorful collection of villains imaginable in each and every action-packed issue. Right here we have General Diesel in the center, and the battery pack, which is his posse. And these are bad dudes. These are guys you do not want to trifle with. And of course, Bullets Bourbon is trifling in their plans. And as you can see there, he looks a little worse for wear because he is the recipient of radiation poisoning by these dastardly villains. And they are not through there. They are also abducting the beautiful Veronica Sinclair, as you can see there in the background, looking a little bit concerned for her safety. And of course, there is Horatio T. Scotch on the left, who is a rival detective, a rival private eye, but Bullets is going to need to depend on him and Veronica if he is to succeed here, because he is not in top condition. And of course, he's had his problems with both of these characters in the past. As I said, Scotch is something of a rival. He's always trying to steal his thunder, steal his cases, steal the girl. And Veronica has a past as a former cat burglar, and this gets her into all manner of trouble, as we can see right here. So again, this is in production, and I will try to get this one out as soon as possible. The date was originally that it would come out in May. I can tell you right now that is probably not going to happen. This got pushed way back due to circumstances beyond my control, but I'm hoping still for like a summer release, maybe June, July, possibly. I'm hoping for June, maybe just a month delay is what all it'll take, but we will see. We will see. And like I said, there is a plethora of issues for you to peruse while you're waiting for the next issue. There is many ways you could do that. You can go to Indie Planet. Again, click the link in the description below. You can find the books there. You can find them on Global Comics. You can get the digital downloads both in both locations. And please do. Please check it out and let me know what you think. A lot of hard work and sweat and tears and pride all gets put into these books, all into each and every issue. Try to make it the best I can. And I love it. I mean, obviously, as I've said before many times, I mean, you know, the world needs art, and you can't be too precious about these things. You know, people, oh, I want to wait until I'm good enough. I don't know if I can write. I don't know if I can draw. Just do it. Just do it and continue to do it, and you'll improve. A lot of people are just so darn precious about these things. I mean, the pros, you know, the old classics, they never always got it right. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid about not getting it right the first time or the second time. You just got to stick with it. You got to see it through. If you love it, if you're passionate enough about it, your continual work on it is going to come through. You know, the amount of effort you put into it will be evident to others. Now, I know I've said this before many times, but as well, the longer you do it, the better you'll get at it. So don't give up. Don't ever give up. And that's true in anything and everything in life. So check out the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. And hopefully case book 14 will be out soon. Now, with that out of the way, we have something we like to call, let's see. We have what we like to call here the mailbag portion of our show. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right, so the mailbag portion of our show is when you guys write to me in the comments of a video or a short, and I always will read them. Sometimes I'll abbreviate them if they're too long and lengthy, but for the most part, I try to read every comment I get. Now, we had a couple of comments on the He-Man Spectacular we dedicated to the last show. It was mostly about He-Man, and River Something or Other 2, River Something or Other 2 weeks ago, which is, I guess, when the last show was broadcast, put this comment on my Skeletor short, and he said, "Oh man, how could they mess it?" I think it's supposed to say up. It's a U, but without a P. It's going to be Jared Leto, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't have that much of a problem with Jared Leto. Everybody seems to think he's box office poison if he does something that goes down. I mean, obviously, he's had a string of failures lately. Tron Ares didn't go over so well. I was not really interested in it. I mean, I think what was the second movie called? Tron Legacy with Olivia Wilde. I seen that. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I'm not really a Tron aficionado. I like the first movie well enough. I mean, I've seen it like 4 or 5 times. It's good. But I mean, I really have not immersed myself in that world. So I would probably watch Tron Ares if it comes on cable at some point. But I really had no desire to see that to begin with, because from what I understand, it's not a connection to the Olivia Wilde movie. And I think Jeff Bridges has a cameo, sort of like the obligatory cameo to sort of keep a through line through all the movies. But it's sort of its own thing. Not very interested. And then of course you have Morbius, excuse me, where it was not very successful, even though I thought it was a good movie. I mean, that's the problem. Everything that is not like a 5-star masterpiece gets relegated as, well, it's no good. I mean, it was a good movie up until I think the last act. It turned into one of those things that Sony/Fox always does, where the third act is sort of a slam bang affair that is just the hero and the villain fighting. There's not a lot to it. But I thought it was pretty good. I liked it. And of course, before that, there was Suicide Squad, Jared Leto. Not the best Joker, let's put it that way. We were talking about the Joker from the Batman. That wasn't that great either, but I would probably say Jared Leto's Joker was better than the Batman's Joker. But anyway, thank you for the comment, River Something or Other. And yeah, I have some faith. I think Jared Leto, I think he's pretty much just performing the voice. I mean, I don't know. I don't have reason to believe that he's going to foul this up, but you never know how these things turn out. All right, the next comment I had, and the last one we have to talk about here, is from Solo Start Studios 6844. I guess 2 weeks ago again, it says. I keep messing that up. But Solo Start Studios 684 2 weeks ago said, and again, this was from my complaining about Tila's costume and why she wasn't wearing the shorts, and they had to give her pants, and it's still like part of that woke era. It's a holdover from the woke era where she can't be showing bare legs. That's the male gaze, and how dare men look at women's legs. And it's, for some reason, anathema in film now, in superhero film and fantasy film and science fiction. It's you can't have accurate costuming, because it's okay if the men show off their biceps and wear basically a battle harness and nothing else. We can't do that with women with shorts. It's really not fair, and it's not accurate to the source material. And I complained about that. And so Solo Start Studios took offense at that and left me this comment saying, how is considering a woman's modesty woke? How about we stop calling everything woke if we don't like it? Because I think conservatives wouldn't want a woman showing all that skin, or does it only matter with the parts of the religion you want to follow? All right, that's quite a mouthful there. I don't really even know how to break this down. Let's just take it a sentence at a time. How's considering a woman's modesty woke? Well, first of all, I'm going to take a look at this quote that just came out today. This is from Empire Magazine via Hemania.com. Tila actress Camila Mendes, I think that's how you pronounce her name, Menz, I don't know. Camila Mendes confirmed that she was ready and willing to don a comic accurate costume if asked. So that right there, I think the note clipped off there. I don't know if I got the rest of that quote, but anyway, she said she was all right with it. Let's put it that way. So this was not a case of they were going to force her into wearing it, and she protested vehemently, and she said, no, don't show my bare legs, which honestly, in the Riverdale show, I think, and I only watched like the first season, but if she wasn't in a swimsuit, she was in a cheerleading outfit probably half the show. So, I mean, I don't think this is something to do with modesty. This is just more woke business where it's like we're facilitating the male gaze, and that is a no, that is terrible. And the women who are these actresses generally don't care. I was just saying online earlier this week, I think it was, or maybe last week, that Olivia Munn has all my respect in the world because she kept demanding that the Psylocke costume was more and more accurate to the comics. And of course, the Psylocke costume, if you go by some of those artists in the 90s, was uber skimpy. Now, I don't think they should have gone that far, and thankfully they didn't, but they at least made it that she, had like bare legs and a knee-high boots and whatever. And, it's that whole thing like with Wonder Woman and Supergirl. Supergirl has to have the dark stockings. Wonder Woman has to have pants, if not a battle skirt. And it's like, what are we afraid of? Because a lot of these characters like Wonder Woman existed for decades. Linda Carter did not, shut down television broadcasting in the 70s by wearing the traditional swimsuit version of the Wonder Woman costume. Supergirl with Helen Slater didn't wear thick nylon stockings. And again, there was not a panic in the streets. So there's always this overemphasis of a lack of modesty when it comes to, I always go back to you in sports. You can play tennis and wear a skirt or wear shorts, and it's not scandalous. Figure skating, beach volleyball. I mean, these kind of things have been going on for decades without anybody signaling them out and trying to act like they're something scandalous. What else does he say here, or she? Can we stop calling everything woke if we don't like it? I am a big proponent of that myself, and we're going to talk about that again a little bit here in a little while. But not everything is woke. Some things are just bad, but they're not woke. This is part of the woke thing when you're race-changing characters and you're trying to fit a quota and you're afraid of the feminists and the complaints about the male gaze. That stuff is woke. So I'm going to call a spade a spade. I am not going to, just because the woke era is basically over, and we're just dealing with the hold-ons and the hangovers of the woke era. It's not been completely obliterated yet, but for the most part, people are jumping at woke shadows when they need not. What else does it say here? I would think conservatives wouldn't want a woman showing all that skin. Again, all that skin, we are not talking about, like Phantom Lady or Red Sonja, where maybe you have a leg to stand on that it is something particularly skimpy. Tila's costume was in the mid 80s in a cartoon show that was aimed at like 5 and 6 year old kids. This is not something that, again, was thought of as scandalous back in the day. Having it, translated over to live action shouldn't seem any more scandalous, especially when the audience, you would imagine, is a little older. But again, they did the same thing in the 1987 film. Dolph Lundgren was allowed to wear a battle harness and furry underpants, and Tila was wearing the light blue jumpsuit. Finally, he wraps up with, does it only matter with the parts of the religion you want to follow? Again, the Bible doesn't state anything about what is permissible to wear. Modesty is the goal, but again, modesty 2,000 years ago was probably something different than modesty now. I mean, I'm not for, going to the Amish look, you know what I mean, for fear of immodesty. I don't think really that's what the Bible is suggesting either. I mean, there is a way to wear something that's modern and fashionable that doesn't have to be indecent. As I always say, I'm not against a bikini. I'm against like thongs and ill-fitting bikinis that are showing just about everything. I think that's where you would have a problem with immodesty. But again, we're only talking about bare legs and, sleeveless jumpsuit, catsuit, whatever you want to call it. That's not really something that I would consider immoral, and I don't think many people would. So again, I'm probably taking a long time with this question, but or this comment, but yeah, I don't get a lot of comments, and this person seemed pretty perturbed at my stance on these things, so I'm going to go over it again for them. So there you have it. There's our mailbag segment for today. And keep those comments coming in. I love answering them. And they are a lot of fun, usually. All right, so we'll get to the subjects at large now. First, we'll take on, before we get to the Star Wars stuff, let's talk about the Daredevil trailer. I just got a couple of images here. There really isn't a lot to show. Let's take a look at the synopsis here. In Daredevil Born Again, survival, resistance, and redemption collide as the battle for the soul of New York begins. In Season 2, Mayor Wilson Fisk crushes New York City underfoot as he hunts down public enemy number one, the Hell's Kitchen vigilante known as Daredevil. But beneath the horned mask, Matt Murdock will try to fight back from the shadows to tear down the Kingpin's corrupt empire and redeem his home. Resist, Rebel, Rebuild. Created by Dario Scarpatane, Chris Ord, and Matt Corman. Daredevil Born Again Season 2 stars Charlie Cox as the titular masked vigilante, a.k.a. Matt Murdock, and Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk. Returning to the series are Deborah Ann Wall as Karen Page, Ailette Zieur as Vanessa Fisk, Wilson Bethel as Benjamin Poindexter, a.k.a. Bullseye, and Margarita Laviliva as Heather Glenn. They show her briefly in the trailer, so they're not giving up on her yet. She's still got a part to play. This season also marks the long-awaited return of Kristen Ritter as fan favorite Jessica Jones and introduces Matthew Lillard as the mysterious Mr. Charles. Daredevil Born Again returns on Disney Plus March 24th. So, I seen the trailer. I've got a lot of questions about it. It looks so good. And we finally see, again, let me cover some history here, but I really liked Daredevil Born Again Season 1. I feel like it was a step in the right direction. Now, a lot of people complained about it. It's boring. It's characters are not that compelling as that. Well, the point is they had to take what they had, the footage they had, and rework the season once, the COVID business was over with and they had a chance to sit back and take a look at what they'd shot and realize it wasn't working. And Vincent D'Onofrio has been very outspoken, and Charlie Cox as well, that they needed to overhaul the show. They were going to just completely omit Karen and Foggy, and they recast Vanessa, and there was no reason to tinker with a successful formula, because it was, again, I my respect for Daredevil the series grew as the show went on. People loved the first season. I was indifferent. It was okay. Second season I thought was really good. I think it sort of, it started strong and kind of petered out a little bit near the end of the second season. And the third season, what I thought was good. Last season showed what the potential was. You got some really cool action at the beginning with Bullseye, Bullseye versus Daredevil. You had, the sort of emotional arc that Matt was going through. Foggy is dead. Karen is gone. It felt like it was not really what we wanted, but it seemed like a necessity that he go through these stages of grief or whatever before we get back into the full Daredevil arc. I was okay and ready to go with it. Now, all that's out of the way now. We can focus on doing pure Daredevil. And he's in costume. We've seen the costume. We've seen the pictures of the costume. This is him in the costume, finally, with the double D's on his chest. This is the black costume, which I don't remember when this came out in the comics. Was it like early 90s? Oh, I forget. I started dropping comics like a little at a time in the 90s. Partially because a lot of them were not that good. And part of them because, you can't afford to like keep every single run going. And when you start losing interest in one, you focus on another. And I think Daredevil, I kind of didn't see too much in the 90s. But I remember that was a famous costume that he wears, like the black with the red accents. So that looks cool. And we got Karen Page here. It looks like underground, looking like they're going to do some kind of serious deed together. Great to see them together. We've got Matt in church again, agonizing as usual. This poor guy is agonizing every season. I mean, hey, that's cool. I mean, that's what Daredevil's all about, right? And this is when Jessica Jones shows up. I'm not really the biggest fan of Jessica Jones, honestly. I'm not a big fan of that character. I mean, Kristen Ritter is good as the character. She's a great actress, whatever. But I mean, I'm just not a fan really of that character. And I mean, I'm of the Netflix characters, that's the one I'm least interested in. Although I would like to see what happened with Trish, the Patsy Walker character who becomes Hellcat. I did not see. I thought there was only like 2 seasons, and I missed the second season. And I figured, well, someday I'll watch the second season. But I think there's a third season too, and I don't know if they ever turned her into Hellcat. I'd really like to see that if they did. So maybe I would watch if they did something with that. But I'm just, it's like this is a superhero world, and she's like Private Eye girl. You know what I mean? She's just like strong or something. I don't remember. I just seen that one season. But she comes and I guess tries to collect Matt Murdock and sort of get him back on track because, again, he's going through this emotional suffering as he usually does. We get an image of Foggy here. So, again, it could be a flashback. It could be what I think will probably happen is I think he's going to come back because I think in the comics they had that storyline where he faked his death or something. Now, I didn't read those comics, but there was a comic storyline where he became the mayor. And I have a feeling when he comes back from this supposed death, which, again, everybody is sort of playing mum on. They're like, oh, no, he's dead, wink. But I think he's probably going to try to run for mayor against Fisk and try to draw him out to making like mistakes or something. I think that's what his plan is in this, if not this season, but maybe partially next season. This was the most interesting thing of all that I've seen. Fisk is supposed to be the mayor here, and he's going into a boxing match. What the heck? What is this all about? I don't know. I honestly don't know. What the heck is this about? Does this have anything to do with, Vanessa? I mean, does this guy insult Vanessa or something and he's going to box him, I guess, maybe? I don't know. I mean, this is really fascinating to me what the heck this is all about. I guess this is an exhibition maybe too, because it looks like they're on a stage in front of an arena or something. This doesn't look like he's in a gym just practicing. They got a guy that's like a referee standing there in the middle. Really curious about what this is all about. This is what struck me the most. Like, this Kingpin is like, I mean, we know he's supposed to be like this sort of world-class judo guy. He's strong. He can crush your head apparently like a walnut with his hands, with his bare hands. But I just like to know what this is all about. This is really interesting. All right, and finally, I think the last image I got here is our boy Bullseye. If they don't give him the Meshuggah costume in this season, I am going to throw something at the television. I don't know. I mean, at a certain point, give him the mask with the bullseye on the top of the forehead. That's all I ask. If you don't want to give him the white boots and the white gloves and the white belt, and you want to say, oh, this is realistic or gritty or whatever, fine. Give him the white thing on the forehead, please. The white symbol, the bullseye symbol. That's all I ask. I want to see him wearing that mask this season. Preferably also with the white gloves and the white boots. But, I mean, I think he could pull it off. I think he could pull off the white boots and the white gloves. Punisher, on the other hand, I don't know. I mean, if he never wore the white boots and the white gloves, I'd be all right with it. But, I mean, Bullseye, he needs it. He needs it. All right, so before we wrap it up, again, I am excited about this. I am really excited about the way this looks. The season looks like it's going to shape up to be something pretty spectacular. March, oh man, March feels like a long ways away, but it really isn't. So I'm sure we'll be seeing another trailer. Toot sweet. In related news, Daredevil Shots has done some digging and learned that Daredevil Born Again Season 3 is scheduled to begin filming March 6th. So Season 3 is already in the works. Hot diggity dog. Casting is underway, and the series is seeking white and Asian dangerous criminals, intimidating officers, and criminal gang members of any ethnicity. Wow, that sounds interesting. Recently, Marvel television boss Brad Winderbaum said that Daredevil Born Again Season 2 will find Matt Murdock in a quote-unquote completely different reality as he quote-unquote fights the power in a massive way. He added, if Season 1 was about Wilson Fisk's rise to power, Season 2 is about the trappings of power and how hard it is to hold on to that power once you have it. When power is your only motivation, it's one thing for like a bunch of people to point in Kingpin's direction and say that guy's bad. But it's another thing to get everybody on the same page. Weighing in on Kristen Ritter's return as Jessica Jones for a team-up with the Man Without Fear, Winderbaum teased, what's really fun about that character is the time jump from the last time we saw her. It's been a while, so we're reestablishing this character and catching the audience up to what the heck she's been up to. That is filled with a lot of very cool surprises. All right, I am down. I am down for surprises. I want to know what the surprises are. Do you? Let me know in the comments below if you are interested in Daredevil Born Again Season 2 and potentially Daredevil Born Again Season 3. And hopefully there's going to be Daredevil Born Again Seasons 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the motion picture Daredevil. I would like to see him in Secret World, just get him finally on the same page as the Avengers. My only regret is that they apparently killed off Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. And, there's never going to be that storyline between them two because that was something that the comics did, paired them up a lot. And I guess that's never going to happen. I mean, I suppose they could recast the Black Widow or, they could coax back Scarlett Johansson probably with a lot of money, but I don't think really that's going to happen. I kind of feel like she kind of got a grudge against Marvel after them botching the Black Widow release. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you excited about Daredevil returning to the small screen? All right, this is a story that is about a month old now or so, but it has finally happened. The old cue, the old ding dong, the witch is dead. I'm not saying that in in a in a mean spirited sense, but people like Doomcock who were saying that Kathleen Kennedy was going to step down for the past, I don't know, 7 years, can finally feel vindicated because Kathleen Kennedy is indeed stepping down from Lucasfilm. Yes, yes, yes. So she's handing the reins over to Dave Filoni and Lin Brennan. Now, let's take a look and see my notes here. Let's see. Kathleen Kennedy stepping down as president of Lucasfilm January 2026 after a 14-year tenure, transitioning to a producing role for future Star Wars films. Dave Filoni will assume the role of president and chief creative officer, while Lin Brennan becomes co-president. Dave Filoni and Lin Brennan take over immediately, with Filoni leading creative and Brennan handling business operations. Kennedy remains a producer on upcoming projects, including The Mandalorian and Grogu, and the 2027 film Star Wars Starfighter, which we're going to talk about both of those in a minute. Her tenure, starting in 2012, saw the expansion of the Star Wars universe with The Force Awakens and The Mandalorian, alongside significant box office results, 5.6 billion plus, but also notable creative challenges. This change marks a seismic shift for Lucasfilm, transitioning from a single leader to a dual leadership structure. The departure was long anticipated and follows years of mixed receptions to Disney-era Star Wars projects. So again, we waited a long time for this. At an end, your rule is not short enough it was. I don't know how Kathleen Kennedy, who worked with George Lucas for decades, let's say, worked with Steven Spielberg. Her husband Frank Marshall worked with both of them about as long. How could she have possibly, after being surrounded by those giants of the field, run Star Wars into the ground as badly as she did? I will never understand that. Now, apparently, who else is to blame? Bob Iger or whatever, but we could tell from the beginning with the whole Forces Female thing. I don't even want to get into it, really, but we're eulogizing the Kennedy era Disney Star Wars. You have to mention that she just didn't understand Star Wars, strangely, despite working with George Lucas and him actually believing that she was a worthy steward to leave the business to. And she just had no clue. And I really don't know what to say other than I wish her well in her future endeavors. I mean, as long as it has nothing to do with Star Wars, hopefully she has a happy retirement. Now, meanwhile, we've got Dave Filoni. Now, is this going to be a new beginning for Star Wars, a new hope, as it were? Well, many people are not thinking that because, old wounds are hard to close. Now, Dave Filoni has spoke nothing but glowingly about Kathleen Kennedy and her projects and the way she's gone about doing things. And honestly, that's sort of just kissing up to the boss. You know what I mean? I don't really feel like Dave Filoni is going to let us down the same way Kathleen Kennedy did. Now, some people can say, well, he did the Book of Boba Fett, I think. You got to remember, he was under the pressures of the Kennedy regime. Now that he's unfettered to it, I think he'll do much better. At the very least, you got to remember, Filoni is a Lucas acolyte. He learned at the knee of George Lucas. You know what I mean? As funny as that sounds, but he was there with him during the Clone Wars era when all that kind of stuff was going on. He understands Star Wars in a way that Kathleen Kennedy didn't, and the brain trust there at Lucasfilm doesn't. So I feel like he's not a guy that's going to create new force powers. He's not going to have force healing and force teleportation and force mind reading like we had in the sequel trilogy. He's probably going to be a lot more faithful to the canon than anything that was going on under Kathleen Kennedy. Now, he's not without flaw, of course. I mean, a lot of people will joke about basically he's allowed Ahsoka to become sort of the face of Star Wars at this point, because her time frame should have ended at the end of the Clone Wars. Then somehow she survived the Clone Wars. Okay. Then she should have died between, let's say Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. She didn't. And she's there around the time of The Mandalorian when Luke is around and has completed his arc as a Jedi Knight. So again, it's going to be difficult to see exactly what he's going for here. Now, if they had any sense, which none of these Hollywood bigwigs do, they would just give us a post-Return of the Jedi series of the original characters. Now, if that means recasting, that's fine. A lot of people saying, what's her name? Billy, Carrie Fisher's daughter. She could play Princess Leia. They have the guy that was doing the motion capture for Luke in The Mandalorian. They have Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo. Even if you were to recast some of those actors, you can put together a post Return of the Jedi Star Wars. The problem is that they don't want to admit that it's a bad idea to link that up to the sequel trilogy. Now, there's a way around that if they will just have the guts to jettison the sequel trilogy as a time travel story or something where somebody goes back, changes the future, and we have, you could do the Timothy Zahn version. I know a lot of people like that. I still don't feel that Luke would get married and so forth, because that is not the way Lucas designed the Jedi to be. So I do feel like there would be a difference there if they made that, and they would have Mara Jade marry him or whatever at the end of the whole thing. But again, it's preferable to what we got. So if they do change course and say, well, no, the future is not written in stone, different things can happen. That's the only way to continue with this, is to keep Star Wars fresh, and not that post Return of the Jedi stuff is always going to lead to the sequel trilogy. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the projects coming up. We have The Mandalorian and Grogu. That trailer, well, the trailer came out 4 months ago or something. Fairly underwhelming. I don't think I ever did a video on it, because it was just some images of, you had The Mandalorian, Grogu, Rod of the Hutt, Sigourney Weaver. There really wasn't a whole lot to get excited about, because it basically looked like a slightly bigger episode of the TV show. And basically that's all this really is. Now, the budget is $166.4 million, the smallest budget ever for a Star Wars movie, because it's basically like a TV episode. Now, the thing is I wonder, how are the usual suspects going to criticize this one? How are they going to spin it? Because every single movie that comes out is, well, it needs to make $400 billion gajillion if it's going to break even. Now, this film was budgeted at $166 million. They could probably do that in their sleep domestically. They probably don't even need to do it on a global scale to make that back. So this film is going to be successful. It is going to make a profit. So how are they going to spin that? Well, the promo budget is going to be triple what the movie cost. No, because they've done next to nothing on promo for this film. They did the Super Bowl ad, which everybody for some reason was up in arms over because it was a takeoff on the famous Budweiser Clydesdale. And I thought it was very funny with the Tauntauns instead of Clydesdales. And, people literally have no sense of humor anymore. It has to be because I can't see how anybody couldn't have seen what that was supposed to be. And instead, everybody was up in arms, acting like this is confusing. They're turning people off because they don't understand what your commercial is. Well, you actually got more people to talk about the commercial than knew the movie was coming out. Because I don't think anybody even remembered this movie was coming out this year. Nobody is thinking of this movie at all. And now you got it in the public view, and it probably only cost you, what, $2 million for that little 30-second ad during the Super Bowl. That was probably a good way to get eyes on the project, and the real rollout of promo material and stuff is going to happen closer to the movie coming out. All right, let me take a look at the synopsis here that we know of, such as we know of here. The Mandalorian and Grogu is scheduled to be released in the U.S. May 22nd, 2026. The New Republic enlists Din Djarin and his apprentice Grogu following the fall of the Galactic Empire during a period where remaining Imperial warlords threaten the galaxy. With a cast of Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, a veteran Mandalorian bounty hunter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, I wonder how much he's actually going to be in the movie. I mean, they're not supposed to take their helmets off, the Mandalorians, and still we manage to see his face, I think, every season. Grogu, the Mandalorian's ward, who is an infant of the same species as Yoda. Grogu is created with animatronics and puppetry augmented with visual effects. Now, I said this online too, on Twitter, but I think a lot of people turned on the Mandalorian because for some reason the Star Wars fans have a predominantly macho view of Star Wars, and it's kind of hard to understand why, given what we've seen in Star Wars. But that's why you get a lot of the people that really rile me up with, Empire Strikes Back is when Star Wars peaked, and it never was good after that. There was no other good movies of Star Wars after Empire. But the cuteness factor of Grogu, I think, is starting to wear thin on some of these quote-unquote fans, because it was okay when, he first showed up, your girlfriend liked him, she wanted to throw a pillow of him, all right, but he kind of overstood his welcome because the original intention was that just this was going to be a bounty hunter show, and he was going to move from job to job, and the first job happened to have had a cute little critter that, was obviously going to get a lot of eyes on the show, but he was supposed to be done with by the end of the second season, probably by the end of the first season, but then they held him over for the end of the second season, thinking he was going to be probably written out then, literally being adopted by Luke Skywalker. But then that didn't happen, and they decided to keep him around. I think this is a good thing, really, because you have basically a nondescript bounty hunter show without Grogu. That is the gimmick. You add a gimmick to the show, and that's where it takes off. I mean, it's going to wear thin where, I think they really wanted to do a Boba Fett show, the man with no name, and, he goes out and has these important mercenary tasks to perform, and then he goes off into the distance with his pay. But, again, that could become kind of boring and repetitive. When you add a Force-sensitive child to the mix, that could be something that you could work with and find storylines with. And I think that was a good idea. And I think at some point they needed to do something like that. And I think this was the smart move. Let me continue to read this here. Sigourney Weaver as Ward, a colonel and leader of the New Republic's Adelphi Rangers, who previously served as a pilot for the Rebel Alliance. Now, this is their only name actor here that I'm aware of, beside Pedro Pascal, but I think Pedro is just predominantly doing the voice. If this movie is successful, and like I said, I don't see how it can't be. It's going to at least make its money back. Plus, what are the usual suspects going to say? How are they going to criticize this? Are they going to say, well, Sigourney Weaver was the draw? I don't think Sigourney Weaver was the draw in any of her films, really. I mean, that's taking nothing away from her as well. But I mean, nobody really goes to the movies to see Sigourney Weaver. Uh, I kind of think that her sort of prime appeal was after Aliens, right? I mean, I don't think too many people saw her leading a film and thought, I'm going to go to the movies and see that because of Sigourney Weaver. And again, that's not to be crass or cruel toward her talent. So again, I don't really see how they're going to justify that this is a success. And I honestly don't understand why you'd want it to be a failure. I don't understand why people don't want Star Wars to succeed. You would hope that at some point they right the ship. Again, now that Filoni's in charge, we've got new leadership. Hopefully they, he and this other woman here can lead this away from what we've been doing and into hopefully a better way. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but why would you? Because a lot of people online are like, well, this has got to fail. We've got to teach Lucasfilm a lesson. Remember what happened last time we taught them a lesson? Everybody stood away from Solo in droves, which, again, wasn't a great movie, but it wasn't a bad movie. It was just sort of there, which I think this film is going to probably be something like that. Not the greatest thing, kind of just there. And by staying away from Solo, they pulled the plug on all upcoming movies of Star Wars for the next 6 years. And Kenobi, which should have been a big budget return to form for Star Wars, with Ewan McGregor coming back, Hayden Christensen coming back, having a big spectacle at the box office. Instead of that, we got a half-hearted attempt at a miniseries that sort of just piecemealed together the story that should have been an epic. And I'll never forgive them for that, because they pretty much ruined what was the only golden ticket that they had. The only moneymaker they had that was a guarantee was putting Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen back together and getting them on the big screen, and a rematch of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. That was the only thing. Now, you would have still had the crybaby saying, this is going to break canon. They can't fight again. And baby Princess Leia, she's not acting right. I don't like her being sassy and all that. But the fact is, people would have seen it. And hopefully there would have been more eyes on it behind the scenes as well. Because you make a miniseries and, the higher-ups are like, yeah, okay, go ahead. But if you're making a big budget movie, you're going to have more people saying, who's this Reva character? Do we want her to, is this going to sell action figures? An angry black woman? I don't really think this is going to sell. And they probably would have, altered it accordingly. And they probably would have, cut out some of the more ridiculous aspects. Like, this is how it all started with, you can get slash with a lightsaber and survive, and now that's become sort of the running joke for Disney Star Wars. But again, I don't see why you would want this to fail as much as you would want them to do it right, do good by Star Wars for once. Jeremy Allen White as Rada the Hutt, the son of deceased crime lord Jabba the Hutt. Johnny Coyle as Imperial Warlord, the leader. Johnny Kane? Coyne. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but let's say Johnny Coyne as an Imperial Warlord, the leader of a faction of Galactic Empire remnants. Additional co-writer Dave Filoni reprises his role as New Republic X-Wing pilot Trapper Wolf from The Mandalorian show. The character Zeb Orleos from the animated series Star Wars Rebels also appears, as do members of the Anazilian species from the film Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. That means Babu Frick, I guess, because we've seen that in the commercial. So that's all we know. Let's see. Red 5 Cantina. What's up? What's up, Red 5 Cantina? Glad you're here. Nice to see some people watching the show while it is in progress. Again, I'm trying to read like a lot of these things. Sometimes I don't notice the comments on the side because I guess the comment box will light up when there's a comment. So I will try to pay attention to those, but I usually will talk and respond to comments after the segment is over. And this segment is over. So let me know what you think about The Mandalorian and Grogu. Are you excited about this? Did you like the TV show? Do you think this has a future in Star Wars? How far will they be able to go with the Mandalorian and Grogu franchise within the franchise of Star Wars? Because this is a significant point in the Star Wars saga, the post Return of the Jedi years. This is the years that this show is set in, is what I want to explore. A lot of people are like, let's go back to 1,000 years before the Jedi and the Jedi Council and the this and that. I am not interested. I want to see the main characters interact. I want to see Luke interacting with Grogu. I want to see Boba Fett interacting with Han Solo. I want to see all this stuff. And so far, next to nothing has come to pass. We got that one good Luke Skywalker, mini role, and they really haven't done anything else with it. If they take this era and lead it into a new Luke Skywalker show or New Republic show, get us young versions of, Luke, Han, Leia, and Lando, that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. All right, so we'll quickly go over now to the other Star Wars movie that apparently is in the works that we also don't know a whole lot about, and we will talk about that now. Star Wars Starfighter will be a standalone adventure set about 5 years after the rise of Skywalker. Hold it. You're going to lose me there. I don't really want to get into that era again. I don't want to go back to the rise of Skywalker era. Is this going to start leading into the story of Rey? I thought this was going to be something like the New Republic. They're going to start talking about how they built a republic after the Empire. That's kind of what I thought this was. But we're going back to the rise of Skywalker era. Oh, gee, I don't know. They're probably asking for trouble with this. They're probably asking for trouble with this. And in the same thing, like I said, you did a lot of half-hearted miniseries of Star Wars, such as The Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, which I've never seen Skeleton Crew. I got to check that out. I don't know how good or bad it is, really. Ahsoka. You really need to start focusing on the meat and potatoes of the Star Wars saga. And again, I don't feel like they're even close to doing that yet. But anyway, the standalone adventure is set about 5 years after the rise of Skywalker, following a solitary pilot, played by Ryan Gosling, on a crucial mission in a galaxy rebuilding after the Final Order, potentially involving a young Padawan and new villains, exploring new characters and conflicts in an unexplored era, directed by Sean Levy. Star Wars Starfighter is scheduled to be released in the United States May 28th, 2027. So they're trying to get Star Wars movies out every year again, which, again, that was sort of the thing that they misunderstood. It wasn't that we don't want to see Star Wars movies every year, but make them good. And I guess they think that they're making them good now because they're giving them to us back-to-back years. A lot of people are like, well, Star Wars is supposed to be, you wait 3 years and then it's a event movie. Well, it doesn't have to be. You can do something different. The reason why it was every 3 years in an event movie was because we were watching the saga unfold. 3 years in between A New Hope and Empire and Jedi. You had that time to build the anticipation, and you wanted to see what happened with Luke, you wanted to see what happened with Vader. It's the same thing with the prequels. You kind of, knew what the story was going to ultimately be, but it was like, what's going to happen with Anakin? He's, a Padawan now under Obi-Wan. And how is the Emperor going to rise through the ranks? And you had that stuff that you could speculate on. But they don't really have anything here worth speculating on because these are just like standalone movies. So just do the standalone movies and hope they're good, I suppose. The cast for Star Wars Starfighter: Ryan Gosling, Flynn Gray, Matt Smith, Maya Goth, Aaron Pierre, Simon Bird, Jamail Westman, Daniel Ings, and Amy Adams. Amy Adams was attached to this very early on, and I don't know who she's going to play, but it's always good to see Amy Adams, and I I'm glad that she's actually in a Star Wars movie, but I feel bad that it happens to be this one. So that is about it for us today. We've gone on about an hour. We've taken a look at the Daredevil trailer for season 2. We have talked about Star Wars, the current state of Star Wars, and the future projects that we know of. I read somewhere today that Skeleton Crew is supposedly getting a season 2. Again, I haven't seen the first season. I mean, I've got nothing against checking it out. I mean, I watched The Acolyte. If I could watch that. I mean, the only thing I feel bad about The Acolyte is that they were building up to Darth Plagueis, and I kind of would like to see. I mean, that's what I mean. I want to see things that have to deal with the original characters. Plagueis being Sidious's master. It was going to go there eventually, I guess, if things carried on, but it was just so bad that we never got back to it, you know? So that's sad in a way, but again, we've got a big galaxy to play with in different periods and different eras and characters we can focus on, and we really don't do it because we're so busy with doing the Rise of Skywalker era, and there's going to be another Rey movie, and, you know, they just got to learn at some point to jettison all that. That's the only way. All right, so thank you for joining me here. Check the link in the description. Check the QR code if you want to check out The Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye. I would be very grateful if you do. Pick up a copy. Pick up a copy for a friend. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And leave me some comments. I'm going to try to do some more shorts out of this video. See if I can find some good shorts to put up that maybe will also get some more eyes on the video, and we'll have some more fans joining us. And hopefully I will be able to get another video out in the near future. Again, it depends on what there is to talk about. I know there was a lot of stuff going online last week that really made me, I'm so tired of hearing about prequel disrespect, the prequel trilogy. I should do another rant about that. And then the James Gunn Star Wars. I'm really so sick of them beating that dead horse. I mean, how many times can you complain? Oh, it didn't make money. It wasn't successful. Nobody liked it. Well, it's funny, but, you know, reality says otherwise. And if you don't like it, that's fine. I mean, I don't suppose, you know, I care that people dislike it, because honestly, there are some things to dislike about the movie, but the most inane and insane comments I've seen about what's wrong with it is really baffling. And I probably should dedicate another rant video on the absurdity of it, because I don't know, maybe on my Superman review or one of these other live streams I've gone off on it, but it probably deserves a video of its own. And there's also a lot of other rants I'd like to do. Hopefully I can get back in the studio and do some of them before too long. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone, coming up this weekend. Happy President's Day, the weekend after that. Well, no, it's not the weekend after that, right? It's the same weekend, huh? My birthday's coming up in a couple of weekends, so happy birthday to me. It's a very important birthday. I'm turning 39 again. And it's funny, if you want to check the link in the description below for my Twitter page, in honor of my birthday, I'm looking up like all old comics from my birthday month, which is really, really interesting to me, because that's when comics were so good. And it's such a sad thing that I can't get into comics anymore, and I haven't for like almost 20 years now, that I haven't really read a recent comic. That's so sad. That's something that, you know, I grew up loving. I learned how to read from comics. My mother read me comics, taught me how to read with them. I'm making comics of my own. But it's sad that, you know, particularly the big two, they're not really producing anything great. And when you look at the beautiful art that they used to be able to accomplish, and the great stories, legendary stories by legendary writers, Chris Claremont, and I was just reading today in X-Men, you know, Len Wein did some great stuff. I was reading Roy Thomas's stint on Fantastic Four. Man, there's just some great stuff out there that, even if I don't ever buy another recent comic from the big two, there's a lot of stuff out there that I haven't explored from, you know, my years as a kid. And I really need to go back and look at some of those. All right. So thank you once again for joining us. And make sure you leave a like, share, and a subscribe. And check out The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. And until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.